Welcome back to the Weber Kettle series here on Chuds BBQ, everybody. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I did this. Beautiful, clean, shiny, sparkly, looking brand new, deep cleaned Weber Kettle. Also, we're going to be cooking up this absolutely gorgeous Tomahawk because why not? Coming up. All good things must come to an end, folks, and with that, this is the final episode of the Weber Kettle series. I know, it's a sad day, but after 7 months and 32 videos, it's time to give the old girl a little bit of a rest. And I gotta say, it's been a fun series. Going into it, I was pretty nervous. I hadn't cooked on a kettle in about 5-6 years, and I didn't know how I was gonna hold up to all these big barbecue cuts. But that was the first pit I had that really got me into barbecue. Because just like all of you, I started out in the backyard on a Weber Kettle, really dialing in all my skills. That's the first pit I ever cooked a good brisket on, rack of ribs, pulled pork, all of it. So I have nothing but respect for the Weber Kettle. That being said, I'm not getting rid of the Weber by any means. I'm sure it'll still be around and make appearances on this channel from time to time. And who knows, maybe down the road we'll do season 2 of the Weber Kettle series, or maybe a holiday special or something like that. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see that. But back in February, when we kicked off the Weber Kettle series, we started by unboxing and assembling the Weber and talking about all the tools that I used for the last few months to produce the best barbecue possible. So it only seems fitting that to end the series, we're gonna restore this Weber Kettle to its former glory. That's right, folks, today we're gonna do a big old deep clean and get this thing nice and shiny, and probably cook a steak at the end of the day. But that being said, that's what we're gonna do today, and it is going to be chuddy. What we've got here is a pretty standard array of grill cleaning utensils, starting with the trusty old grill brush, some all-purpose cleaner, got some aluminum cleaner, some oven and grill cleaner, some barkeeper's friend, a couple of sponges, a big nice squishy fluffy one. We also got some scrapers. I think these are gonna be really great for getting all the creosote off the lid and stuff. I got these metal ones, they came in a 2-pack, but I'm a little worried about them scraping the enamel, so I've also got a plastic one here. We'll see how it goes. And of course, we got some rags and some microfiber rags, because these are great for doing the bulk of the cleaning, but they tend to leave a lot of this little string and lint on the pit. So we got the microfiber ones for the final polish. To kick things off, let's just have a look at this thing, shall we? As you can see, the outside isn't looking too bad. Got some grease spots. It's just got an overall film of dirt and ash all over it. Shouldn't be too hard to clean. But this is what you really don't want to have on your pit of any sort. All this creosote and grease builds up on the inside, and this is about as far as I'd ever let it go before giving it a clean, because pretty soon this is going to start flaking up and then falling onto your food, and we don't want that. That's not good for anything. On the inside here, these grates are definitely well used, to say the least. Definitely need a good scrubbing. And funny enough, on this grate, there used to be a piece that connected this to this that fell off a while back, and I'm not mad about it. I actually kind of like it, because oftentimes when I'm opening these grates, I'll get in there with my little charcoal tongs and just open them like that. But because of this little guy right here, when there was that piece going all the way around, it was really hard to get in there. So now that there's that little gap, I could just get in there real nice and easy. So I consider it a feature. Grates definitely need some attention. The old Slow and Sear could use a good shine up, although I'm not really going to put too much effort into getting this thing polished up. Charcoal grates, still in good shape. These can burn up after a while, but this one is only about 7 months old, so still in good shape. Definitely could use a good cleaning. And then, of course, we've got the bowl itself, which is looking pretty dirty. There's a pretty thick buildup of soot all the way around, just like the lid. And I haven't emptied the ashtray in a long time. But to kick things off, we're going to put this back together and just give it a real rough scrape. Using the trusty grill brush here, this is something you should do between every cook or every few cooks. You know, just go around and knock off all the soot from these grates. You can get in there with this little guy. It's got these little notches on the end here, so you can kind of get right in there and hug the bars. Looking a little bit better. Let's go ahead and flip it over. Same thing on this side. Looking better. We'll deal with the rest of this later. We'll also go through and scrape this bottom one a little bit. This one really just needs a quick little brush. It's mostly ash, not as much caramelized grease. Coming out. Next up, we'll just go around these walls and give those a quick little scrape. Just trying to get any major particulates. And now finally, we'll clear out all the ash and all the soot that we just scraped off the grates and off the walls. Use a little rag to wipe all the extra ash, kind of clean off these blades a little bit. And now we can do my long overdue ash removal. Yeah, that's full. Little pro tip, keep all your charcoal bags. They make for great ash catchers. Pop it back together. Bottom grates in, top grates in. Then as far as the lid is concerned, same thing. We're gonna just go through and knock off all this flaky stuff. Let's go pour that out. Pop the top back on. Maybe give this lid a quick little wipe down. And that's it. That's a really rough clean for your Weber kettle. Just a 10-15 minute clean like that, removing all the big chunks, cleaning out the ash, scraping the grates, maybe once a month between every 5 or 6 cooks is all you need to do to really improve the life of your Weber kettle. And I'll be the first to admit that I am not good at this. I'll usually hit the grates every now and then, but that's about it. And that probably explains why this is the 3rd Weber kettle I've had in the last 10 years. Now that's your general maintenance once a month, or it really depends on how often you use your kettle. But if you have a really old one or you buy a used one, a solid deep clean is definitely something I highly recommend. And because of the porcelain enamel on these Weber kettles, they really do shine up nicely. So let's dive in to the deep clean, starting with the lid. As you can see, we've still got a lot of carbonized grease on there. So I'm gonna hit it with some of this Easy Off oven cleaner. And we're gonna let that sit for just a few minutes, start to work its magic. And usually I don't like using heavy chemicals on things that I cook on, but we're gonna make sure to rinse this thing really well and give it a good scrub at the end. We're also gonna do the same thing to the bowl. But once we get a nice even spread of this stuff all over the bottom, sides, everywhere that we can, we're gonna let it sit for about 20 minutes, or even longer if you got it. And I'm not gonna do it to the top grates because that is directly where our food is going, and even though I'm sure it'd be fine, we'll deal with those later. After sitting for about 20-30 minutes, we can now grab our little scraper here and just start going to town on this thing. Oh, that is satisfying. Just all scrapes right up. It's moments like this where you really realize why you have to clean your pit every now and again. Ooh. Gross. I'm gonna rinse this out with the hose real quick. And as you can see, that did a pretty good job of removing it, but we still got some soot on the walls here and around all these little pieces. So I'm gonna grab some steel wool and some dish soap here. I'm just gonna give this a nice little scrubby. And just like that, this thing is looking brand new. Look at the shine on that. Go through and dry this off a little bit. Man, this thing was dirty. Looking beautiful. And now we do the same thing to the bowl here. Okay, look at all this stuff in the bottom here that we missed during the initial scrape. And now we attack it with the steel wool. Looking good, nice and shiny. As for the outside here, we're gonna just go ahead and hit it with some all-purpose cleaner. This is a little bit easier of a clean because there's not grease baked onto it. Mostly just ash and dirt and stuff from the elements. And then go at it with the steel wool. Looking good, nice and shiny. Now I'm gonna bust out the aluminum cleaner, and the bottle I had a defective squirty squirt on it, so I put it in this. We're just gonna touch up this guy and this guy. Ooh, look at that, foaming up already. Well, that was effective. Oh, it's so bright and shiny. And just like that, our lid is fully cleaned. And now we do the basin. And again, with our aluminum cleaner, I'm gonna spray some onto a rag this time around. We're just gonna stroke these guys clean. Looking good. Time for a quick hose down. Looks better than the day I bought it. And now for the grates. For these, I'm gonna start out with some all-purpose cleaner, just kind of get them wet a little bit. By the way, I do not recommend doing this on your cutting board, but it's the easiest way to do this for video format. Then we're just gonna hit it with our soapy steel wool. Both sides, folks, you know the drill. And while these look pretty good, a simple rinse, these would be ready to go. We're gonna take it one step further and really go deep by using some Barkeeper's Friend. This stuff is awesome in the kitchen. It's essentially this powder that you mix with a little bit of water and it creates this really nice paste that kind of acts like liquid sandpaper. Cool stuff. I used it on all my stainless pots. They get all dirty. Like the stock pot on the bottom can get real cruddy. This stuff cleans it up perfectly. So it should work out great on these grates. So again, you want to add just enough water to make a nice thick paste out of it, and then grab yourself a sponge and simply just go to town. And as you can see, just on that middle section, it makes a big difference. Oh, so clean. Now time for all the elbow grease. And just like that, we have got a brand new looking grate. Gotta say, pretty pleased with that. And if you're a little more OCD than I am, you could definitely get in there to all the little nooks and crannies. But that is looking like a solid 95% clean to me. Pretty happy about that. As for the bottom grate, I just give it a quick little scrub, not going too hard on it. You know, this is just for holding charcoal, so it doesn't need to be pretty, but it's nice to give it a good scrub. But at long last, it is finally time to reassemble our clean new Weber. And there she is in all her glory, shined up, looking just like the day she was new. Ah, makes me a happy grill papa. Looking nice and shiny, nice and clean. One thing I will note is that aluminum cleaner dripped off and created these marks on here, which is not ideal. Hopefully they'll fade in time, but it does make that aluminum just shine like the day it was new. So if you are gonna use that stuff, I'd recommend putting it on the rag first, like I did on the legs. Learn from me. But other than that, I'm very happy with how this came out, and I should have done this a long time ago. The only problem is, this thing is still pretty wet. We don't want any of that wetness to start to rust anything or discolor any of our freshly cleaned Weber. So I think we need to light a fire to make sure it's all dry. Let's fire up the pit. Now that it's been baking away for the last 10-15 minutes, I am sure that everything is nicely dried out, and it's still looking absolutely beautiful, nice and clean. But for extra good measure, I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with some spray oil just to grease it up, give it one last final polish. Probably not necessary, but you know what? I want it to shine. Greasing it up. Oh yeah, looking nice and shiny. Love it. Love it. The underbelly too. Oh. Now we're talking. And I'm also gonna do the inside. Just the walls. In theory, this will help build up a little non-stick layer so it's a little easier to clean next time. This is what I do to all my offsets that I build as well. Get these grates nice and greased up. Oh yeah, get it all down in there. Do the lid as well. And now let all that grease set for the next 10-15 minutes or so. And just like episode 1 of the Weber Kettle series, where I assembled this thing out of the box, put it together, and burned it out, I can't just let this fire go to waste. Bam, big, old, beautiful Tomahawk. I got this from my new friends at RC Ranch. Highly recommend checking them out. They're down in Houston. They're a ranch that raised this absolutely beautiful American Wagyu, and I gotta say, I've had a few steaks from them already, and they are top notch. Just look at the marbling on that. And they also have a butcher shop where they do charcuterie, sausage making, and everything is just beautiful. Nicely trimmed, absolutely perfect marbling, so be sure to check them out. I'll have a link in the description of this video. And this beautiful Tomahawk has been dry brining, as you can tell by this little rack here. Salted this up last night with some kosher salt, and it's all penetrated into the meat, which means we're gonna have some wonderful flavor all the way throughout this beautiful steak. And I think it's time to sear it off. Oh, gotta love a fresh sizzle on a freshly cleaned pit with a beautiful Wagyu Tomahawk. Am I right? Beautiful. And once we've got a beautiful sear on there, that bone's getting hot, we're gonna move this to the indirect side. Ooh. We're gonna pop on our lid, vents over the meat, and let it come up to temp. And just like that, this steak is rocking a solid 125 internal temp. Beautiful. So now to finish things off properly, we're gonna hit it with a nice little pat of butter. Because why not, folks? Come on, we worked hard today. Then we're gonna sear that butter off real quick. Just for a couple of seconds. Underrated step, folks. And then we're gonna bust out the old pepper cannon and give ourselves a nice peppering on top. Gotta say, I like the fresh cracked pepper. But bam, beautiful looking steak. We'll let this rest for a few minutes and slice on in. Gotta say, I'm excited. Haven't had a tomahawk in quite a while. Beautiful looking bone. Nice and juicy. I mean, what's not to like about that, folks? Come on. And there we have it, a beautiful grilled Wagyu ribeye on a freshly cleaned Weber kettle. I gotta dive in. That looks like a nice juicy bite, doesn't it? Oh my God. That is unbelievable. It's so tender, so juicy. Wow, wow. Oh my God. That is the best steak I've had in a very long time. Perfectly seasoned. Beautiful crust on there. Nice, medium, rare. What's not to like about that? Oh, that crispy little fat piece. Sometimes in life, guys, you just gotta treat yourself with a beautiful cut like this. Just so juicy. Come on. Out so good. I love a tomahawk. I tell you what. Perfect. Perfect. Oh my God. Makes it all worth it. You know, a lot of people say they don't clean their pits because it's well seasoned, but there's a big difference between seasoned and dirty. I must say, I really have enjoyed the Weber Kettle series. You know, it's really fun to go back to your roots, especially because I've had a lot more experience in training since the first time I cooked on a Weber Kettle. And every vid I've made and every cook I've done on that thing, I've been thoroughly impressed by how much of a unitasker that thing really is. It really is a jack of all trades, but you know, I'm not gonna be getting rid of my offset or the Chud box anytime soon. Because while it is good at everything, it's not really great at one specific thing, except for grilling steaks, especially Wagyu Tomahawks. Highly recommend it. And hands down, if you're new to the barbecue scene and you want to just dip your toes into brisket cooks, low and slow cooks, and need a budget-friendly pit, the Kettle Grill is the way to go. All you really need is a couple of good YouTube videos and a good bag of Fogo Charcoal, and you can pretty much cook everything. But without further ado, I think it's time for the official taste test. Oh.
Yes, please.
All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to deep clean your Weber kettle and cook an absolutely amazing Tomahawk ribeye. And I know cleaning your grill is not the most exciting topic, but it's something we all have to do, and I really hope you picked up a few tips along the way. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you find yourself in need of a deep clean on your Weber kettle, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cleaning. Major shout out to Fogo Charcoal. Thank you for sponsoring this entire Weber kettle series. I really do appreciate it, and I am genuinely a big fan of all the products that they offer. Shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.